Welcome to the Autofocus podcast. My name is Scott.
And I'm Dan.
And this is episode 6. So we got a little battle between Dan and I. We got a disagreement about a particular application. We'll get to that in a second, though. So keep listening.
You're going down.
Yeah, okay. First off, I want to say thank you to our audience and everybody that's supporting us. It means a lot. It's grown a lot in the past week. We've posted a lot of episodes, but we're going to try to post 2 every week. So stay tuned for that. As of right now, I think we're going to try to do Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Yep.
Tuesdays and Saturdays. It seems realistic for us to be able to do that, and still have plenty of topics to talk about, and then for Dan to edit most of the video and to post everything. But follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. If you're an audio listener, we're still waiting on Apple. One day we're gonna get Apple. I don't know what the deal is.
Come on, Apple.
We're still good with Google Podcasts. So there's a bunch of other apps as well. We're using Anchor, and it distributes everything for us, which is pretty phenomenal.
It makes it so much easier for them to do that.
It's so much easier. I'm glad we found that.
Yeah.
This whole podcast thing's totally new to Dan and I. Well, Dan was just doing it before, but you were just doing it on like one platform, really.
Yeah. So I did the Anchor thing, but it was still very confusing to me. Like you love researching and kind of like looking into what you need to do. Me, I'm like, I just want it to be easy. Let me do it, and it's still a little bit like tricky.
It is.
You know what I mean? But
it is. But I think that's the easiest platform I saw, at least from my research. I mean, maybe when we change it up, we'll go from there. But for right now, I definitely unpaid advertising. But I'd say check out Anchor if you're into producing your own podcast. But for today's topic, so I have the belief that Instagram is killing photography. And I'm
on the opposite end of that. I think it's doing great things for photography.
See, I just think that what happens is Instagram itself isn't designed for photographers in mind. Like it is purely a social media platform for people to just post random photos. And
I mean, I think it's definitely a platform for that. It's definitely a platform for marketing because you can connect, you can link up with so many other people just by sending them a DM. But I think it's doing great for photography just because you have how easy is it for someone to post a video? It doesn't need to be the best camera. It could be a cell phone and it's super creative, you know?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I think it's great for creativity, but I think it's really... So here's my thought process. You and I love photography. We really, at the end of the day, it's great to share our work because I think that's like what makes you better. But we go out because we like to shoot photos and that process, and then go home, you edit it, you look at it, you maybe put it in your house or your office.
100%.
I think people go out and they try to produce a photo for Instagram,
Instagram, of course.
But I'm guilty of that too, and I think that. But I think the problem is you don't necessarily think about photography. You're thinking about Instagram, which is ruining the photography aspect. So I have a perfect example. Last podcast, Dan and I did not a photo battle. We called it a photo battle. It was more of like an analysis of our particular images. And I talked about how one of my images I shot in portrait.
I remember you said that.
Right. And at the end of the day, I also shot it in landscape. But the photo that I published, I didn't even like it as much as the landscape version. I published the portrait version because that's the best way to view it on a phone. Right. So it degraded the quality of my product that I'm trying to put out there so that I could put it on social media.
Yeah. But see, the way I look at it is this is the way we're moving. You know what I mean? Like everybody's using phones. Everybody's looking at phones. Like this is the direction we're going. So it's like when you changed it to put your photo to look the best as it would look for a phone, I think you did the right thing.
I'm not saying that I didn't do the right thing.
Know?
I just think from like if you look at it from a photographer's perspective, the output of a photo, right? I'm gonna stray a little bit here, and you and I we've had this conversation before. When you look at a photo on a screen or on like a computer or a phone or whatever on the back of your camera, and then all of a sudden you look at a printed version of your photo, Tell me the difference and the feel that you get out of something like that. I'm
Oh
not even
yeah.
going to answer it. Tell me your like how your experience. What happens when you take a.
It's unbelievable. I literally filmed my experience when I went in and picked up my print, and I was just like blown away. I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing."
So that reaction that you got, right, of your own photo, which you already knew what it is, printed large, right? Almost not to full scale, but to something that you can tangibly touch. It makes a big difference, I think. And I can tell you, I've had some phenomenal photos. Like I've seen photos that on my computer, and then I go and print them, and all of a sudden I realize things that maybe I did wrong, or maybe the photo's too busy when you print it out. So I just think from a purist perspective, Instagram, the platform itself isn't designed for photographers. It's designed to share an experience about what's going on, which happens to be a photo or a video. It just from putting out your, like us as hobbyists or professionals, like I'll use somebody, for example, I follow Peter McKinnon. Like you follow a bunch of like landscape photographers and wildlife photographers, right?
Yeah, I follow Peter McKinnon for sure.
Yeah, so right.
And I actually don't follow him on Instagram though. I followed him just on YouTube.
Okay, so and I just picked him because he's well-known photographer and he's one of my favorites. His photos on Instagram are fire, like they're unbelievable. But I think at the end of the day, it's still not a representation of, like, if I could see some of his photos, and the cool thing about it is it allows for him to market himself so that I can see his work. But at the end of the day, I'd buy one of his photos for my studio so that I could have a tangible product.
But now, how would you know about that photo if he doesn't post? If there was no Instagram, you know what I'm saying?
I'm saying it's a different topic. I'm saying it's more of a marketing tool than it is a photography tool.
Oh, yeah.
You know what
I agree with that. It's definitely a marketing for sure.
Now, yeah.
But then again, I mean, I follow so many wildlife photographers, and they're not even trying to sell prints. They're just posting up like what they did or what they shot, and it's amazing to see some of the photos that people shoot, and I'm like, oh my god! Like I never would have saw that if it wasn't for Instagram.
Absolutely, there's people that I would never know about in the world that because of Instagram or like YouTube, and then I follow them on Instagram or whatever it is. I think it's a touchy subject for me. I love Instagram, but at the end of the day, I think it degrades photography's at its purest form.
See, one cool thing. I mean, you definitely have the people that post. Just they'll take a photo real quick, and as long as they look good, they'll post it up. But then you have the people who don't have DSLRs, who aren't per se in photography, but are super creative with a phone. You know what I mean? Like they can get super creative with a phone and show their creativity on Instagram. I think that's really cool.
No, I love that, and that's a topic for a different day. Is like the gear itself isn't what produces a good photo, right? It's
not at all.
It helps if you know how to use it, but at the end of the day, it's just physically having a way to capture that image. I think that's I guess we could talk about that now. I mean,
I love that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
because you'll see some behind the scenes photos of people. I just saw one the other day on Instagram. Funny, but I just saw a video the other day of this beautiful. Like it was almost a slider shot, but like super long. And it was some guy standing on a rug, his buddy pulling him, and he's just holding the camera super steady.
Right.
You get these amazing shots, but if you knew how DIY it was,
right,
you would be blown away,
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely like a learned that's experience, right? So their experience, they know that at the end of the day, you don't need to use a gimbal.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So motorized system that stabilizes the camera. It's used majority of the time. It's used in video work. You can use it for time lapses. I'm sure everybody has an idea what time lapses are. Where they take a bunch of photos, it stitches together, and it like speeds up time. Essentially, you get to watch it in a short amount of time. But yeah, you don't need a gimbal to get, or a slider to get that type of shot. You mentioned it in an earlier episode about like taking a t-shirt and putting your camera on a t-shirt and then sliding the t-shirt along the table to get that like motion in a video.
Nice smooth,
I think that like those are huge things that I've been shooting more B-roll at work, And those are the things that I'm implementing because like I'm limited from a video perspective of the amount of like stuff that I have, right? So I've got a couple lights and my camera and a tripod, which is actually really useful for video. But I don't have a gimbal, I don't have sliders, I don't have like a bunch of key lighting and like or background lighting and stuff like that. So yeah, using like random things. I think Instagram is great for educating people on new ways and like tips and tricks or stuff like that, or documenting things. I just don't think, from a final production, you get to see it on this like, 1-inch screen, 5 inches tall by 1 inch wide. I just don't think you get the full effect.
It's not the same feel as if you saw the print.
Right. And I think that like I've had this debate with another friend. Like we talked about like art galleries or like just museums in general. He's like, dude, those are going away. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no money in those. Like nobody's going to go to those. And I totally disagree. If anything, I think it's going to become more and more prevalent because we get so desensitized to all this stuff. Like you think you see all these amazing photos and stuff like that. I mean, I'm starting to, because I have a 3 and a 5-year-old. So when my 5-year-old experiences something that's not on a screen, right, I can see the engagement level is, I think, a lot more, right? He gets more excited about it because it's something more tangible, right? It's not just on a video screen or an iPad or a computer.
See, but I'm almost with your buddy. I think they are going away, but I think they're going away because people, it's not worth it to them to rent out a space, print prints. It costs a lot of money to print all your prints and then hope they sell. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to hope they sell. Online makes that so much easier for people to check out your website and then say, granted, it's definitely not the same feel. I sell my prints at the restaurant, and when people come in and see them,
they get blown
instantly
away.
They go, "Oh my God, I want this."
So, but that's
so
my
it's definitely a better feel.
I mean, as a photographer, you gotta like be an advocate for that material and that tangible item because just as well as I do, it makes such a massive difference to our hobby or our profession.
It does for sure.
I think that from a marketing perspective, photo and video is the way of the world. Like there's no going about it. Like still images are going away. Like video is definitely the way to market something. I mean, you can shoot a 15-second video now to get your point across way better than like an ad that you put in the newspaper, right?
100%.
Those platforms are
commercials on TV. No one even has cable anymore.
Yeah, that's going away. I mean, Facebook has got to be by far the best bang for your buck. For dollar value,
it's the biggest one.
Yeah, so I think that's huge, and I'm not knocking Instagram. I think Instagram and Facebook are phenomenal. I mean, that's how people are able to listen to our podcast. But I just think from a photo perspective, anybody that's ever seen, like I have a printer that prints 12 by 18-inch prints. You talk about it being expensive. Well, it doesn't have to be. I mean, yeah, sure, I can't print a big canvas, but at the end of the day, something that's printed at 12 inches by 18 inches, that's a pretty big print, and I can do that from home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the one thing is, you know how to print, so your images probably come out really good. I printed my photos. I mean, some of them came out okay, but some of them I print and they'd be like 10 by whatever, like a normal piece of paper size.
Yep.
And it didn't look good. I was just like, how is this not coming out good? Granted, it was my bad because it had to have been my settings.
Oh, sure it is.
But just like so many other photographers out there, they probably don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would rather have looked at it on the computer than have it printed out.
That's definitely, we mentioned this a few episodes ago. It's definitely a tough thing. So color grading, so everybody color grades, at least, we shouldn't say everybody. Most people that post to social media color grade things for screens. Well, once you color grade something, if your screen isn't calibrated to your printer and your printer output settings aren't right,
isn't it your monitor?
Yeah, your monitor.
If it's not calibrated to your monitor?
Yeah, I'm sorry, your monitor. So your printer's got to be calibrated to your monitor, but it doesn't. You don't have to spend all this money. I mean, there's a simple way to do this. Like, and again, a little bit of research can get you there. A lot of practice can perfect it, but at the end of the day, trial and error is how I learn 90% of what I do. research obviously comes into play, but yeah, it's accessible to somebody at home to print a photo. And if you are a photographer, even if you're an amateur, even if you use a cell phone, listen, today's world, and I preach this to my wife, and we still don't practice it, but let's print photos of our kids. Like print your work.
I agree with that 100%.
Print your work. I think at the end of the day, you'll be much happier with what you get. Your memories will be a lot better because there was more engagement with that particular photo or that memory. I think it's important. Instagram's marketing. We're marketing our podcast that way on social media, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. But at the end of the day, I think if you want to do photography, and if this podcast can inspire you to even try it, whether it's on your cell phone, whatever it may be, I think at the end of the day, if you take a really cool photo, go out of your way to print that photo out. Because I think it's only going to make you a better photographer, but it's also going to make you appreciate the little things in your photos.
You'll definitely appreciate it way more. Yeah. I'll say printing photos is so important because people are losing that right now. People will stack a bunch of photos on a hard drive or just on Facebook or whatever it might be, just on their phone. And then they get a new phone and all their photos are gone. They didn't back it up to the cloud, or you know what I mean? Like you lose a lot.
Yeah. Like
when you go back and you look at your parents' photo books, old photo albums, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's something that I do is I print my photos with my kids. And when I die and they have those photos to look back on, not through Facebook or whatever, it'll be great.
That definitely has gone away. Yeah, I think our generation in particular might be the last generation. Like I remember looking at photos, I think our kids for sure, but the generation between our kids and us, they're not going to have that. Like I just think a lot of people use their phones. I mean, I don't know how many, I'm not going to check now, but I bet you I probably have 10,000, maybe 12,000 photos on my phone. I bet you 1,000 of them are phenomenal photos of my kids. Right. But I don't print those. So like that needs to be done. I think that's super important.
The cool thing is there is an app out there. I think it's like $1. It's like super cheap, but it takes the photos you take on your phone and it prints them out and sends you a book.
Oh yeah,
it's
inexpensive.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap and crazy, but
we won't get into this yet, but maybe one time we will get in the iPhone Android battle. My phone, because it's a Pixel phone, that's automatically built in, so I can build a photo book right out of photos.
Oh wow!
In Google, and there's a
so they make it easier for you.
Yeah, they make it easier to print.
Wow.
That's Google, right? So Google offers you 15 gigs free storage, the whole 9 yards. They still want you to print your images because that's how important it is to our industry. So
yeah,
I think,
and now it's like the reason why I think it's like easy too is because like it's not. Remember back in the day, you'd buy a hard drive and it was like a couple $100, and it wasn't even like a terabyte.
Yeah.
Now you can buy a terabyte for like $100, probably even cheaper than that.
Dan, do you remember?
Space is so easy to get.
Do you remember when we used to build computers?
Remember
when we used to go to the city? I think we used to go to the city dump and get. Remember we used to get hard drives and stuff like that.
We used to. I remember all that.
Dude, I those hard drives were like 2 gigabytes. Think about that for a second. 2 gigabytes. This podcast, just my video alone, just my portion, when I export that and send that to you, it's 15 gigabytes, right? So just to put that in perspective, technology is changing. So storage is becoming more efficient. It's becoming more accessible to the common person. I mean, just for this particular podcast, I went out and bought a 2 terabyte hard drive just to make sure we've got all the, I've got enough room on my computer to make sure that I'm not going to have any, I think it was $70. $70 for 2 terabytes. I mean, that's unbelievable. The efficiencies that you get out of it.
My hard drive now is at a terabyte, and I'm running out. Like I have like 100 gigabytes left. It keeps reminding me when I sign into it. But I mean, I probably have like 30 hard drives.
Right, and they're all.
And I'm just like, oh my god.
And it's crazy. I would say that just like Instagram, that technology, that hard drive technology, will be 100% cloud-based at some point. So,
yeah, I believe that.
So we all have these tangible hard drives. They're roughly this big, or SD cards or whatever they are. At some point, everybody will just have terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of online storage that's dedicated to you. And you might pay Google for it.
Yeah.
You might pay Facebook for it.
Apple.
Or Tesla or Apple or whoever it is. That's happening now. I mean, people back up their iPhone photos, their iCloud.
It's so easy too. It's like $10 a month or $2 a month on Apple to get another couple terabytes.
Yeah, you don't
why
even
would
sweat
I not?
They're just on there. But again, it comes back to making sure you print your photos and share them. I mean, give them. I like to give mine out as gifts. I did that to a lot of my employees. I gave for Christmas one year. I printed. Maybe it's a little selfish, or maybe it's no one
wants a photo.
Yeah,
of
maybe not of me, but of my work. So maybe it's a little conceited, but like here's a photo I took, or I let everybody pick through them and see which ones they liked. But
see, that's more like it's more interactive. It's more like
engaging.
you actually care about. You're not just buying something and handing it to them.
Right.
It's something you actually care about. So
yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if we accomplished if Instagram was really bad or good, but at the end of the day, we had a nice little debate. But thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah.
Again, please comment down below if you think Instagram's killing the photography, or if you like Instagram, what do you like, what don't you like about it, and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple one day.
Eventually.
That's what it is. So thanks for listening to the Autofocus podcast. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dan, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. All right, later.